I feel like I'm on a racetrack.
You can go to Bliss, bet you see it with the baddies. Last night at the go-go, had her holding up the traffic. Shorty rock designer clothes, but she come from Hobo, man. This whole family full of bosses, but your Frisco dinner costs us. Yeah, she from uptown, so I called her at the Aqua. Tonight she tipping strippers, got the liquor in the system, and we just wanna party. Whole city coming with us, but you ain't gotta hate, soldier. You can roll with us.
It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get it dog phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. She like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing up. I was through the money, I feel like I'm on a racetrack.
What's going on? Buzy with B is back in the studio. I'm super duper excited to have a great friend, family member in the studio with me right now. I'm so excited he took time out his schedule. I feel like I don't need to introduce him, but
we do.
Yeah, introducing Trayon White to the studio, the Buzy with B show.
What's happening? How y'all doing today?
Can y'all hear us?
And you know Ursula, right?
Hello, everybody. Hi, Trayon.
She said we have an instant connection.
We did.
I said,
we
well,
did.
hey, let the universe speak.
Okay.
Let me get in the way. Don't let me get in the way.
Did you feel something when you sat next to me?
Well, you know, I gotta keep it to myself.
Oh, well, tell me later, okay?
All right, cool.
Okay, Ursula is single, by the way.
I'm not.
He is
Y'all
not.
need to cut this out. Y'all is making
No,
me
she
blush.
put that out there.
Y'all making me blush.
I don't want no problems with somebody's girlfriend. Okay? Let's be clear.
Lord,
Okay, so welcome to the show.
thank you for having me.
Today we are gonna have fun. We're gonna talk about some business, but before we get down to it, I want to thank Japur's Clothing for sponsoring the show today.
Oh yeah.
He's
What's
a sponsor
that?
to the show, doing big things in the community. I love him, a great friend, always had my back from the beginning to now. So send us some love to Japur's. Go check him out, and we're gonna start the show. Well, normally how we start the show, we just talk. We
Talk about the weekend.
We talk about the weekend.
Okay, cool.
How was your weekend, Trayon?
My weekend was good, pretty busy, nonetheless
Okay.
productive.
Okay.
It went by fast actually. So
It did?
yeah, we had the premiere for the movie Transitions, a TV series yesterday. It was a red carpet in DC. I went to the one in Detroit. We brought it back to DC, packed house at the Mazda Gallery
yeah.
last night. Big Wax, Big G, Hannibal.
Okay.
Man, the whole DC was in the building.
I
Yeah.
heard. I
The
was
whole
trying.
DC was
Well, you know, we
But
got to
okay.
come to the next one.
I know, right?
I was trying to do the red carpet. You know, he never called back. He just said, "I'm gonna
Y'all,
call
maybe
you."
y'all got the
Okay.
wrong numbers, man. That's the second time I heard about that.
They be calling us Ursula.
Right, right.
Yeah, you got to tap them into the right numbers, big.
We got
Okay.
to tap into the right number.
But I'm excited. That's going straight to Amazon Prime. I heard.
Yep,
That's
they doing big things.
for the
Just-
DC area.
Yep, they got John
Yes.
Wall in there. They got Michael Blackston. They got a lot of DC
Okay.
artists,
Oh,
some
yeah,
young
that's
guys
gonna
in
be
there.
nice.
It's real educational too. You know, it's a street film, but it get a lot of people exposure in the city.
That's
Nice.
what's up. That's what's up.
What you do, Ursula?
You know, I enjoy myself. You know, with friends, family, and just having fun.
That
all
sounds
weekend.
general.
It's not general. Those
Oh.
things give me great joy, especially when you have good people around you.
You went
Good
to
energy.
brunch. You
I went to
brunch.
a night brunch yesterday out in Baltimore, so it was nice. It was different. A night brunch go from 4 to 8. Had a live band. Had some eye candy,
'Cause
some
you-
of everything.
you get out.
I'm just enjoying myself right now. So yeah, that's
Cool.
all.
All right, Miss Ursula.
Okay.
What about you, B?
Oh, what I do? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank somebody for asking. Yeah, I know
Yes.
I don't do much. So what I do, just bored, home with Bella and the family. For real. Making spaghetti. Just being normal. So I haven't really hung out and all that stuff. But I'm just getting ready for the walk.
Yes,
April is Child Abuse Awareness Month.
that's correct.
So I'm trying to get in shape for that. So I'm doing a lot of working out.
Cool.
All right. So we gonna start getting into the interview with you.
Oh, the
So,
hot
did
seat.
you
I mean,
say,
the hot seat.
oh,
Let me
hot
see.
seat?
So look.
That's why it's red. I see. I got black.
No, that's because you VIP. That's why the seat
this
is
is the
red.
hot seat. Okay.
No, don't feel hot. So what we gonna do is I just want, for people that don't know you to kind of introduce yourself. Basically, Busy with B is a show to inspire and motivate people that no matter where you're from, you can do all things. You can make it through.
No question.
So I want to just start the show with just the inspirational part. So I know you. I know where you're from, all that good stuff. But I want you to talk as if someone is getting to know you. You talking to a young man out there, and you trying to inspire them to do what they got to do.
So the heart of me, Trayon White, I'm the council member for DC, Ward 8, all that. But the heart of me, I'm just a servant, you know. Mm-hmm. I grew up, as you know, in Southeast Washington, D.C., and been blessed to make it through the crime epidemic that swept through the city. You know, I've been in and around it my whole life, and God spared me so many times from missing, not going to prison, not, you know, being another statistic. He allowed me to get an education, both undergrad, you know, grad, and I'm also in law school now. And so my story has been a series of story of triumph, and using my story and my ability to give back and create a bridge for a lot of young men in our community, and young ladies too, but more specifically young men, especially high-risk young men. And so, you know, my grandmother raised me, Jean Ann Roberts, along with my mother, my uncle. A lot of people poured into me. I got a large family. My great-grandfather had 22 kids. My grandmother had 13 kids. So it's a lot of us in the city.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of us.
I seen you with grandma, too.
The picture,
she
yes.
just had a birthday.
Yes,
Happy birthday, grandma.
Yes.
So let's back up, because you don't give yourself enough props. When you ran for that seat, you ran unopposed against someone that had more money and more clout than you.
Yeah, I wouldn't say more clout, right?
Right,
you know,
but you know, it could be
not more clout.
not more clout, but you know, money buys things, and to me, that's what was impressive with your story for me, and gives hope to all of us. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I ran a street-based campaign. Yeah. You know, I come from the school of Murray. He told me that the power lies in the people. Right. And so when I first ran, it was at least about 20 people on the ballot, because everybody who had political aspirations felt like, because MB was gone, Murray and Burry, it was their time to go for. Even his son, you know, rest in peace, Christopher Burry. Right. There was a lot of people on the ballot, and one particular candidate was a candidate that was coming from the mayor's regime, and she raised over $500,000 in a race where you're going to raise $500 per person. Right. Just a lot of $500 that added up. Right. But we ran, and they said we allegedly lost the first race by 71 votes. Wow. We was like, wow, you know, and I always felt that you cannot conquer anything you're not committed to. And so I was trying to make a decision, do I run again? And I was working at the Office of Attorney General under Carl Racine, and I was like, I'm gonna run again, because I'm truly felt that this is what God called me to do. I'm gonna put my all into it. I don't believe in giving up. If I lost, I would have ran again. And you know, we put our all into it. The community got behind me, ran the People's Campaign. We said, don't just stand there, do something. That was our slogan. And so people came, the non-traditional voters came and voted for me. And so it was a true blessing to get in office and keep that spirit of Murray and Burry alive, who really care about God's people and helping, you know, those who have been left out of the equation for a long time.
It's power in numbers,
and
right?
I definitely was going to ask your influence. You know, who influenced you? You know, who inspired you? I'm going to connect the questions, because I know the answer to it already. You already talked about it. But who inspired you, and when did you know politics? I mean, because growing up, we don't just say, okay, I'm going to get into politics.
Yeah.
Like, when did you know?
I didn't know what happened. You know, I say what had happened was. So I believe it started. We had a young man named Jordan Howe who was killed in Southeast on Alabama Avenue, and I started a nonprofit years ago called Helping Inner City Kids Succeed, Hicks Inc. And I was also working with Reverend Isaac on ERCPCP. And one day I was in Woodland, and I had just dropped some youngers. I used to always drive this 15 past the van. Always had kids in all the time. Okay. And I had some guys I just brought from the funeral. I brought the guys from the funeral back to my neighborhood, and I dropped them off on First Street. They began to walk up between the bank on South Capitol. Okay. And when I left, I got back to Woodland. About an hour later, I heard all these police. I'm like, I've been in Southeast all my life. I've never heard this many police.
Wow.
But I left my phone in the car. I was married at the time, so my wife and I was actually looking for a house. And when I got back to my phone, I had missed at least 60 calls. Wow. Okay. And I found out that when I dropped the young men off, somebody came through with an AK-47 and shot them on the corner. I think about 5 people were shot, including a young lady. 2 of my cousins got hit. One got hit in the head, one got hit in the back. And And Mr. Lockridge, William Lockridge,
I remember.
He came to my aid and helped me organize in the community because they gravitated to me. It was a lot of different communities came together that night and that week, and we helped to get 34 people jobs. And he was telling me that everything he'd been seeing me doing was politics. I feel like I'm an activist. My job is to keep the politicians accountable.
Right,
you know?
right.
I'm trying to organize, turn up, you know.
Right.
But he was teaching me about Chicago politics and how that's real politics and organizing, getting people involved and getting people feel like they have ownership in their own community. And that's where it really started.
So you spoke on accountability. So I'm going to go right into one thing that you were recently in the press for is about your settlement against the D.C. Police Department. What was it? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so the litigation piece is over, but in short, I was responsible for volunteerism for Murray turkey driving, which we still keep alive today.
Okay.
We did 3,200 families this year. We're going to do another group of families next year. But I had to bring the bags for the turkey drive, so I was running back and forth bringing the young men with me and the bags. I was dropping people off because I only had one car. And during this time, it was raining. A tractor trailer came into the road on W Street in front of Union Temple and struck a car. So we couldn't go anywhere. And so I went instead of riding around to do it, I just opened my trunk to do it. Next thing I know, the trunk hit me in the head. I thought it was closing or I didn't know what was going on. Then I got up and it hit me again in my shoulder. And I was like, whoa. And one of the young guys actually grabbed the police officer when I looked up at it. And they was getting into a tussle. I'm like, hey, I'm dizzy at the time. Okay. And so I had to go to the hospital and things like that. But I ended up suing the district and settled out of court. But, you know, it's happening far too often in the black community where police officers are using their power to use excessive force. And I always believe that if you don't report it, or you don't do anything about it, then you condone it. You know, I get a lot of calls from people saying that the police did this. Well, now, did you file a police report? Did you get a lawyer? Are you pursuing? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You got to hold them accountable because if you allow it to happen, it's gonna happen to the next man.
I always say silence is consent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I sued the police department, and I was in the paper because I guess I don't know what I was the victim in the situation, but they put it in the paper as if. I guess they want to let people know I got a settlement. I don't know.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
I really didn't get it, but
if it got Trayon White on it, it's going to be in the paper, man.
Let's talk about the paper because the Washington Post seems to love you, Trayon. They love you. I said, what's up with that?
So the Washington Post
right.
Took D.C. to court in a lawsuit to sue D.C. to request body camera footage for when I got arrested for allegedly having a suspended license. And I was like, why would the Washington Post spend money and on a case that was no paper?
Okay, I'm gonna leave you right there because I was gonna wait for this. See, we was gonna get into the juicy stuff a little bit later. You know, talking about the incident with the car. I mean, see, we leaving from the background part of you. I was trying to kind of put it in a session so that we can get to know you and all that good stuff. I mean, but since we there, let's go ahead and bring up
what
this.
we leave off that we don't know.
I live a life every day, so it's probably a lot of stuff I left off. You know,
but listen, since
I'm
we
a
were
very
talking
interesting
about
guy.
cars and incidents and stuff,
Yeah.
Can you talk about the incident where someone was driving your car and got into an incident or accident and left?
So that's an ongoing situation, but there was a young man who used my vehicle who struck someone, and the news reported that first they said it was a hit and run. He didn't get out. He just hit him and kept on going. But for facts is that he gave him his name and his information. Actually, it's gonna come out that he actually didn't just give the guy his number. The guy actually called his cell phone from his phone, which is in his phone records. It's going to come out in court. And so that's going to take care of itself. It's an unfortunate incident. But the reality is, Trayon White, my history and my past has always been working with high-risk individuals. This young man been shot two times in 2018.
Wow.
2 different occasions. And so I took him in, working with him. He has a government job now. He's working. He's productive. And not all these young men are perfect. But when I'm in a seat I'm in, and it's involving my name, it get publicized to the next level because I'm so high profile. Right. And so I try to be wise in what I do, but some things just unforeseen and out of control when you have these guys that do their own thing, not really considering exactly. And so
that's leading to my next question.
Okay.
My next question, which we bouncing around, but is it hard, and do you ever feel like overwhelmed working and living in the community in which you grew up in? Because a lot of times, before you answer, when we do have a certain level of success, we are taught, or we, can't really afford to live in a district or live where we grew up at. So do you find it hard living and working around these same people that you grew up with, trying to save everyone?
It is hard because I'm young. I'm the youngest council member in the District of Columbia right now, and I'm on social media, so you can easily reach me, DM me, Facebook me, and I don't have the opportunity to respond to all messages, but because I'm accessible, I get to hear a lot of people when they're at their worst point of their life, or they about to get put out, or my son just got shot, or I think my son shot somebody, or it was a big old fight at my school, or it be crazy stuff for them. When I answer my phone and respond, it's like I'm dealing with people at their worst time in their life, and it's not easy to do because there's so much pressure. And so at one time I used to try to hold the government accountable, but now people see me as the representative for the government. And it becomes tough because I live there, I worship there, I grew up there in Southeast. I love Southeast. I feel like I am who I am because Southeast raised me. I had to tell somebody the other day, they were saying, do you feel like, you wouldn't be where you are if you didn't live in Southeast? I said, no, I think growing up in Southeast helped me when I got to college because there was so many people never washed their own clothes, didn't cook for themselves, didn't know how to survive. Like I was eating 17-cent oodles and noodles on a regular basis. Right. I grew up on oodles and noodles and hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? So, I came from the struggle where I had to share milk with my siblings. I had to wait till my older sister finished eating her cereal, use her milk out of her bowl, dump it in my bowl so I can eat. So I was used to the struggle. Wow. And I think a lot of those struggles really embody and help me to become who God created me to be today. And I have a lot of growing to do, a lot of learning to do, but I say that living in an environment is tough. Yeah. It's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, but you got to be called to do this work. Yeah, like it's absolutely. A calling for me. And so when people criticize me about the young men I help that's in trouble, they don't talk about the sixes about the graduates from college. I think 3 in December and 3 in June. Yeah, those are stories you don't hear about in the paper. And I had them since they was 8 and 9 years old. Right. See, some of these guys, they say, you need to leave that crowd alone. But I've been with this young person for 14, 15 years.
Yeah. And you're a good role model.
And I try to be. And I feel like God allowed me to make it out in an African principle called Sankofa, right? We got to go back and give back. And going back and give back, it's a price to pay sometimes. You see what happened to Nipsey. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, so.
And they really saying that, okay, going into Nipsey a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
you were in the paper for that, right?
You did make the,
I didn't read that article, but that wasn't really no article. That was like a blog.
It was like a blog on social media that you took it down, but you really feel like...
No, it's up on my social media right now. Yeah,
so is it your belief that was a hit because it was professional?
And before you answer that, because I don't want you to make the news again, I will say my opinion on that. What? Yes, I really do think it was something behind it. I mean, it was hard for me to watch the video of, did y'all see the white man get out the car and whisper into the shooter's ear something, whatever he whispered? But anyway, it's out there. But go ahead and answer.
So it was a lot of speculation. So what happened was I put up a controversial post and I put like the thinking emoji behind it because it's thought provoking. And I guess I wasn't there, so let me say I don't know what happened that day because I wasn't there. But as the more you hear about it, you hear about Nipsey allegedly got into it with a young man about him being hot, being a snitch, a rat, whatever we want to call it from the street terminology. And this young man then came back and retaliated and shot him. And I knew it was going to be a touchy subject because who he was and what he represented. And it goes back to your point of when you are at a certain level of success, you're going to get a lot of envy,
right?
A lot of jealousy and a lot of hate. And it's like, do you leave and put your family somewhere else, or do you stay? And I was faced with that decision many times. Even in my first marriage, my first wife was like, because I used to bring all my kids home. I used to coach Little League football. It used to be 20, 30 kids in the house on a regular basis. Like, do you have to bring them home? I understand you work with them. Then it became, do we have to live in D.C.? Because the gunshots on a regular basis, just a struggle. Yeah. And so it cost me a lot, but I feel like I was going in the path God wanted me to go. I had no idea I'd become a council member or a school board member at the time. I just knew that I wanted to live here and make sure that my community be better because it raised me here. And because God spared me through so many situations, I can use my influence, my gifts, talents, and intelligence to help people come along. Not as a a handout, but a hand up.
That's
so
awesome.
many people gave me a hand up. I didn't just get it.
I think we have photos of your tribute to Nipsey on your social media page, so which is awesome that you stood up and posted something about that. So tell us about that night. That was in Ward 8?
No, that was in Northwest. That was at Malcolm X Park, uptown, man. They actually, there you go right there. They had a candlelight visual, Malcolm X Park, nice man. Picture. It was beautiful. It was probably thousands of people out there that night. It was a picture of a young boy in that particular clip who had a Found a Call newspaper with Nipsey picture on the front. And he was out there with his family. So so much to learn about how to take your resources and own your block and create economic empowerment within your own community. That's, not just bigger than rap music.
Yeah, amazing. Yes. The more I learned about Nipsey, because I really didn't know who he was. I was one of those people that like, I knew he was dating Lauren. That's all, that's all I know. But it was just what I learned about this man. It was just so inspiring, and how he held his family together, and like you said, buying up the block. I mean, investing in the community. And anyone that talked about him talked to how he spoke over everybody. He told Snoop Dogg he should get a theme park. Everybody would come. So it's just to see that type. But talking about Nipsey, and he had a strong lady behind him. We're not talking about relationships, but we're talking about foundation. And with that being said, do you feel like you have a strong foundation? Now under you with everything that you're trying to do in the community, do you ever feel like?
Well, I feel like I'm a spiritual person first, and I feel like a lot of things that I do, I'm inspired to do it. And I think I've been able to navigate and wiggle based on my inclinations and my spiritual guidance I get, not just from my spirit, but from my ancestors. And so I reverence that, and I always, use that as a guidance. And I think that gives me a foundation. I think that, sometimes it get a little shaky. I do a lot of visuals and funerals. I had to go to a funeral today. I'm a Muslim brother, Muslim, who succumbed to having cancer. He died. I had to go to a funeral today. And sometimes they take a toll on my spirit. I'm not as jubilant or happy because I'm trying to intake and meditate on what's really going on. It's like the more life I experience, the more death I experience.
Right.
And sometimes it get closer and closer to home. And I have to be the one. And, for example, right? And a lot of people don't know this, but I had a young man who I brung up since he was 9. A few years ago, he killed another young man who I introduced him to.
Wow.
And in doing this work, I had to go do the funeral of the young man who he killed. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a tough situation for me.
Right.
Because they was both from 2 different neighborhoods. My job was trying to figure out how to keep this peace. And to this day, I was actually about to text somebody the other day and seeing his number come up on my phone, and I just started crying. And I was at an event, so I had to pull myself together because I got to go speak. But I'm emotional crying because I can feel that pain.
Yeah.
And I know this young man, both of them was brilliant young men. Right. And an unfortunate incident, their life was, was taken away or jeopardized,
So in your position, we talk a lot about mental health on this show. How do you deal with that? Do you believe in therapy? Do you seek therapy for that? Like, how do you deal with those situations?
So I go to therapy. I haven't been in a few months, but I do go to therapy. I think therapy is very necessary.
I'm an advocate.
Even meditation. We just opened up a meditation clinic at the Arc on Mississippi Avenue in Ward 8 because there's so much trauma. They say hurt people.
Hurt people.
Hurt people.
I got that from you. I actually say that a lot.
Yeah, and it's real. And so I'm just trying to. Every day people. Look at me in different aspects, but I'm a whole human. So some days I'm very aggressive. Some days I'm melancholic. I'm humble. I'm meek. I go back and forth depending on my mood.
Yeah. I know when I was, doing my research on you, I was amazed.
Don't believe everything you read.
Listen, no, to give you credit, let me say to give you credit, there was a lot, mostly the Washington Post when you see something a little negative. But I was like, look at all the things that you do, the amazing things you do in the community. They need to point that out as well. I'm an advocate. If you want to say something bad, he got many good things about him that they need to publish about you.
Their job. That's what they do. So that's why it's very important. I come to shows like here, what we got here, and listen, vision on Georgia Avenue, across from Howard University. Because we got to be able to tell our own story.
Yeah, we got to create our own narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let me back up since we talk about Georgia Avenue. You stood up and spoke against the Don't Mute DC Go-Go movement, right?
Yep.
I loved it. And I said, let me tell you why I love it, right? when I was coming up and you see politicians such as yourself, they stayed away from certain things. So to me, you're unconventional, and I love right. And I'll be like, sometimes I look at you and be like, is he supposed to comment on these things or not? But you do, and I love it. I love it.
That got a lot to do with his youth too, you know. And I just think he's so relatable. I've been following you for years. I mean, we grew up together basically, and it's just I'm so happy.
You play basketball.
Yeah.
She play basketball?
No, I did not know she played basketball.
I can play. Yeah, she who?
So she do something with that height. Okay.
Yeah, it's just, man, I'm so inspired and just motivated. You motivated me, and I'm just glad that you're a part of my thing. Look at this. Hey, how can we do this?
I know. I see you a lot on DMV Youth page. Is it on IG? Who runs
it's on
that?
Instagram. I don't know who run it, but it's a popular page that's up and coming. Yeah, in the district. Yeah.
We gonna take a break, right? We're going to take a break. My show, again, is sponsored by Japaris. So we're going to just check out some stuff during the break. We're going to take a break. We've been talking a bit. We're going to come back. When we come back, we're going to get to know the politician, Trayon White, and what's going on.
Boots.
More so on the politics side. What he doing in the community? How about that?
Trayon White, Boots.
Hello.
We be back.
Down. Yeah.
Big Doja, nigga.
It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get a duck phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. Like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing now. I was to the money, I feel like I'm on a racetrack.
You can go to Bliss, bet you see it with the baddies. Last night at the go-go, had her holding up the traffic. Shorty rock designer clothes, but she come from Hobo Man. His whole family full of bosses, but your Frisco dinner cost us. Yeah, she from uptown, so I called her at the Aqua. Tonight she tipping strippers, got the liquor in the system, and we just wanna party, whole city coming with us. But you ain't gotta hate, soldier, you can roll with us.
It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get a duck phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. Like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing now. I was to the money, I feel like I'm on a racetrack. Had a good day tonight, we eat steak and lobster. I just left Benny Hunter, now I'm on the way to off. You know, as soon I hit my section, all the girls bringing bottles. And the blacks I be smoking, you gon' think I was a roster. It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get a duck phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. Like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing now. I was to the money, I feel like I'm on a racetrack. Down. Yeah. Down. Yeah.
Big Doja, nigga.
It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get a duck phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. Like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing now. I was to the money, I feel like I'm on a racetrack.
You can go to Bliss, bet you see it with the baddies. Last night at the go-go, had her holding up the traffic. Shorty rock designer clothes, but she come from Hobo Man. His whole family full of bosses, but your Frisco dinner cost us. Yeah, she from uptown, so I called her at the Aqua. Tonight she tipping strippers, got the liquor in the system, and we just wanna party, whole city coming with us. But you ain't gotta hate, soldier, you can roll with us.
It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get a duck phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. Like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing now. I was to the money, I feel like I'm on a racetrack. Had a good day tonight, we eat steak and lobster. I just left Benny Hunter, now I'm on the way to off. You know, as soon I hit my section, all the girls bringing bottles. And the blacks I be smoking, you gon' think I was a roster. It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get a duck phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. Like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing now. I was to the money, I feel like I'm on a racetrack. Down. Yeah. down, down. Yeah.
Big Doja, nigga.
It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get a dog phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. Like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing now. I was through the money, I feel like I'm on a racetrack.
You can go to Bliss, bet you see it with the baddies. Last night at the go-go, had her holding up the traffic. Shorty rock designer clothes, but she come from Hobo Man. His whole family full of bosses, but your Frisco dinner cost us. Yeah, she from uptown, so I called her at the Aqua. Tonight she tipping strippers, got the liquor in the system, and we just wanna party. Whole city coming with us, but you ain't gotta hate, soldier. You can roll with us.
It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get a dog phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. Like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing now. I was through the money, I feel like I'm on a racetrack. Had a good day tonight, we eat steak and lobster. I just left Benny on and now I'm on the way to off. You know, as soon I hit my section.
Also, but I love this song. I think it's gonna be, hey. Y'all can groove with me.
It's definitely a hit.
Yes.
I'm just waiting.
It's a good summer sound
I keep
hit.
telling you, stay on beat, Trayon.
Hey, don't worry about me. I'm on beat in my own mind. That's what you're missing.
1, 2 step. But Bird, thanks for the song. Exclusively here, right here on the Buzy with B show. I'm so excited. We're gonna get back into it with Trayon, and we're gonna talk about some politics, what he's doing in the community, what he has been doing, what he's doing, what's coming up. It's all about you.
Okay, let's do it.
So, what's Spring Social? What's that?
Okay, so one of the things that I saw in the spirit of Marion Burry was that he told me, he said, man, we always got to take care of the singers and the babies.
Yes.
And I just felt like there were a lot of singers in the community who are suffering because, gentrification is real and it's live, it's happening. Mm-hmm. And a lot of singers I run into have to choose between put up money to get food or pay for their medicine. Yes. Right? Because I don't know if you know, but a lot of singers' food stamps been cut significantly, where they're getting less than $20 a month in food
crazy.
Stamps. And so we decided to start celebrating our singers, bringing them in. I'm also building, I'm building a new senior wellness center in Ward 8.
Okay. What's up.
We only have one right now, and it's overcrowded sometimes. So some of the singers get there, and then they have to go back home because it's a population at max capacity. I mean, they got to wait for Seabury or Metro Access to go back home. And so we building a brand new one in Anacostia. But the senior social was about celebrating our singers. We got their hair done. Nails done.
It.
We paid some of their bills. We gave out a lot of prizes. We gave out some awards. We just had fun. We danced. We just had a great day. We're gonna do it again in the wintertime. And they had a lot of fun. We had over 400 or something singers gathered at the
nice.
What was it? The Panorama Room.
Okay.
A legendary spot. I'm a Southeast guy. The Panorama Room.
You need to call me next time for that. I love doing makeovers. Everything beauty, honey.
Well, we're gonna hold you to that.
I am. I'm all for volunteering. But let's stay on gentrification. Yep. So I was reading, DC is one of the top cities in the country for gentrification.
Yep.
And we're in jeopardy of it. So how are you going to preserve affordable housing in Ward 8?
So one of the things you're working on now is it's not new to me, but it's something we've been studying around displacement free zones. We're trying to freeze the taxes in and around areas hardest hit by development.
Oh wow!
I'm in a constant battle with developers, who think it's a good idea to build all these things, but we're not using that same energy, that same resource to build people.
Okay.
Like how we building all these buildings, and I'm looking at certain quarters, like 10, 15 cranes in the sky, and in Ward 8 we got about 10 to 15 billion dollars coming to the ward that's supposed to be building up, but the rate of income coming in is not equaling out. And so I told one developer, listen, we need you to carve out a pot of $5 million, and we met with a company called Small Change to allow anybody in the community that had access to $500 can invest into this project.
Okay.
And so that's the type of leadership we bring in to allow people to have ownership. So you may not benefit right now.
Right.
Okay.
But 10, 15 years from now, you can look back and tell your children, man, we own part of that building. And we're equity stakeholders in that building. And so we're trying to do this with all the projects in Ward 8. And so I get a lot of flack behind that. I get a lot of pushback behind that. But it's about putting people first over just building buildings, because once you build these big buildings, guess what? The property value increase, the taxes increase. Even this year, I had 11% increase in taxes on my house, and we haven't even had major development.
Wow. Right. That kind of answers a question I was going to pose to you, where I read you put a stop to a project that was going to be funded by Mayor Bowser that would have brought construction jobs, permanent retail jobs, and
so let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
How long does a construction job last?
Until the job's done.
Yeah.
So you might do drywall. You mean you only be there for a couple of months in the project. You might do cement. You're there a couple of months. You might do electricity. So, and even with the retail jobs, we talked this one particular project, right?
Yeah, let's talk about.
The mayor wants to give a company $60.7 million in tax increment financing, was called a TIF, and we underwrite, ensure that we can get behind this project, because the construction company has to prove. I mean, not the construction company, the developer has to prove. But for this TIF, we can't develop in this area because the income don't allow us the ability to do it. And so that was in the making. And I began to research, and I found out not only was we going to give them this money, but we was going to give them like a 40-year loan. 40-year lease on the building. We was going to pay for a government agency to be in the building. I said, okay, it was supposed to be a apartment building, a hotel, and an office building. And we were going to, lease the office building or something we subsidize and pay for.
Okay,
that's a win-win
you was
situation.
You was gonna pay for it after y'all built.
And I understand. I do want amenities. We do need amenities in the ward. But what is the community going to benefit from this project, in and around this project?
See, now that makes sense.
So if we had a community benefit agreement, right? And when I went through it, I didn't see Anacostia High School in the community benefit agreement. It was a lady named Miss Page, who has a football team around the corner practicing the back of Kramer. They had to move from 16th Street to Kramer because there was too many shootings down there. I didn't see that all them 100 kids in the community benefit agreement. So I started looking around what was going on in Anacostia and realized a lot of people who could benefit from something like this wasn't it, and they was trying to give scratch. You're talking about a $300 million project, but they're giving pennies to the community.
Wow. See, I love that, because for somebody like me, and even the reporter that wrote up the story said, I would like to know his logic behind it. So that's an exclusive for Buzy with B. You explain that. Right. And for me, like, I don't know any better. I'm like, well, why would he turn that down? But that makes perfect sense.
It makes a whole bunch of sense.
And I'm glad you were able to explain it.
We're using government dollars to further gentrify and accelerate gentrification in the community.
Yeah.
And we got to do. I'm not against development, but I'm for responsible development. And even when we get to the apartments, right? Yeah. It was for most of the apartments in that particular building was for I believe it was 133 units. Originally it was 60% was going to be for 22 units, another 60% for like 15 units. Another 15 units for 80% AMI. Meaning one part of the building, let's say 15 to 20 was allocated for people earning $70,000 a year. Okay. The other part was for people. 15 units was for people earning $90,000, between $85,000 and $90,000 a year, and the rest was just for market. So we're in a housing crisis in Washington D.C. right now.
Right. Yes.
The amount of homelessness and hopelessness going on with our housing crisis is out of this roof. Right. Like DC spent $80,000 a day to house homeless people in the district.
Yeah.
We could, how many houses we could have built with that? I live in Willow Creek. It probably cost $100,000 to build each of those houses.
Okay.
You talking about how much money we spent over the years that we could just build houses for people. Wow. Or build something, infrastructure to help people create more sustainable living. And I feel like we're not doing it. We're just making rich people richer while the poor people are getting poor and pushed out.
And that's why you were elected. But I did, and I get your stance, because Ward 8 is actually one of the wards that was the most impoverished wards in the city. So you have to take a stance on.
And I was trying to ensure that we allow DC businesses priority on the, because it's not just about jobs. Like people say, well, what about the construction jobs? And Come on, man.
I was going to
We
ask
talking
about the
business ownership.
community
We talking about $300 million. In Anacostia alone, we got it's almost $1 billion between Reunion Square, Columbia Quarters. We just had Maple View Flats built. We got Anacostia Gate. It's almost $1 billion in a 3-block radius, and we still talking about jobs.
Wow.
Right.
There are people in Ward 8 and Ward 7 who have skills, that have businesses that's been get access to get on construction projects or get blocked out. And sometimes when they do get on the project, say that they get on the project and they contracts for $700,000. The developer will stall them out from getting paid, and they settle out of court for $350,000 because they can't meet payroll.
Okay.
And so that's what's happening. And it's about access to capital. And so what we're trying to do is allow these everyday businesses who can do the work, that's bonded, that has workers from the community, because we know if we hire locally, we hire local contractors, they're gonna hire people from the community. And so my job is to make sure that's a priority at the table, at the gate, not waiting after
So what can you do to force that? What can you do to force that?
Oh, yeah, we do. We should. We got a slogan. We say if we not working, nobody working.
Oh, I love it.
So we go shut the whole project down to ensure equity.
Look at you.
We're not even talking about the conversation of equality
you just
anymore.
rebel.
We talking. I'm doing what's right.
You are doing what's right.
What's right not always popular.
That's right.
Especially we got new people moving in, which we welcome all people. But I'm not for support laying the red carpet out for new people moving in. We don't really care about the people that's been there.
That's been there, and the people that can't afford to stay there and have to move out.
So
it's crazy.
Trayon, what is your biggest obstacle in Ward 8 right now as it stands?
It's the poverty mindset.
Okay.
It's trying to get people to start working on self. I read a book called As a Man Thinketh.
Okay.
It said people all over the world, people want to change the world, but haven't figured out how to conquer themselves.
It's true.
And it's like people all over the world want to change their circumstances, but are unwilling to change themselves. And so it's about how to get people motivated to stand on their feet, to start working on self, going back to school, dealing with the mental health, addressing the substance abuse issues, getting access to avenues of education and information that you need to own a house, not just rent. I was doing a workshop at Hart Middle School a few weeks ago, and I did for a person who paid about $1,200 a month.
Okay.
For 30 years, going to pay about $450,000 in 30 years. That's a house they could have bought.
Wow.
And that money is going into a black hole every day. And we're divesting in our community instead of investing in our community.
So what kind of help do you have? Do you have mentorship programs? What do you have in Ward 8?
So there are a lot of organizations that's struggling right now because they're not getting the financial resources that they need to stay afloat, especially when you're in the service industry. But there are everyday people. We have some fantastic people in Ward 8 that are working, from J&J Monitoring, Secure the Streets, to Mama Safe Haven, to Far Southeast Family Strength Collaborative. You got so many different organizations working in and out the schools and the communities that's not really getting the resources they need in an area that need it the most.
Okay. So what kind of support are you getting from the mayor of Ward 8?
So one of the things we got when I ran for office, right? So B and I went to school together, right? And then going to school, we was faced around a lot of violence. In fact, Mr. Lane got shot in the school.
A lot of violence.
School?
Yeah, and Miss K. Lewis.
Okay.
And Miss K. Lewis. So remember the helicopter came to school at lunchtime?
And remember the year I graduated, I'm a little older than Trayon, but the year I graduated, I always been this person that speak in front of the crowd and stuff, but that year we were going to funerals up and down the street of Martin Luther King Avenue, because we had lost several people just in gun violence.
Middle school. Yeah. It's not even high school.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
It's just like to see some of the things you're doing, and I mean, with all the odds stacked against you, especially as a black young man, to see you push through. I mean, I will, you will always have my support.
I appreciate that. I need it. I need all the support I can get.
Anything we could do. I mean, we had a question right here on Facebook. I was trying to pull it up.
Okay.
And she was talking about housing. The houses being built, persons living with lower income cannot afford. So now supply is being geared towards the rich, while the poor remains poor. Something like that. She was saying.
And that's real. And people don't want to talk about what's real. And I think that we're in a place right now where we have to put so even education, right? I was going to somewhere with that.
Go ahead.
Because out of the 20 schools I was looking at the data, 15 lost funding for their schools, including Blue and Anacostia.
Wow.
Based on enrollment projections, right? So we don't know how many students are going to be there per se, but enrollment projections. So that means teachers, faculty have to make a decision about who's going to stay next year and who's not going to stay, what programs are going to have to be there, what programs are going to be cut out. But when you look at DC budget, we went from about a $14.5 billion budget to about a $15.5 billion budget.
Okay.
So how's the budget getting cut for some of the most neediest schools? It don't even matter about the road. You can find money and if we find the money, right? One time we put $30 million into a parking lot in Northeast. A parking lot.
A parking lot.
So what does the mayor say about this? I'm just what's the
so you gotta ask the mayor what she say.
I want to know.
I can't.
I mean, I haven't
posed these questions to her.
Yeah, so the mayor had, we bump heads a lot.
I was about to say it's like
we bump
this.
heads a lot, but in some places she's been extremely helpful. Like when I went to her about the new recreation centers, I was telling her we've closed down Hot Headed Rec or Kramer, Baloo.
Where is the rec?
Number 11 Boys and Girls Club. All these recs
That's
closed.
what saved us, to be honest.
Exactly.
We had somewhere to go.
And so I went to her and I explained to her, and she helped find the money to subsidize and put 3 new recs. We was 2. She's put money in the budget for a new Douglas rec and Henson Ridge 2 weeks ago, and so there has been some traction with the mayor. But sometimes we got 2 different visions, and that's the words of 2 visions. Die means 2 vision division. Sometimes we have division, and sometimes we got to agree to disagree. And that's not just with the mayor. That's with college. That's with anything in business or anything involving people with their own personality and vision for their community. So as the visionary and leader for Ward 8, I try to figure out what the need is from the community and try to address that through policy and through the budget. We got a lot of money, and we getting surpluses every year.
Okay. Look, we're going to extend an invitation to the mayor.
Yeah.
Come on the Busy with B show.
Hey,
Tell us.
You have big shoes to fill, Trayon. And I know you always say, I'm not Marion Barry, but you are one of his proteges, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was supposed to say, protege.
That's what they say.
I love to see it because, I love Marion Barry.
I think
just for what he done for the community. Yeah. I mean, he was the first one to do the summer program and have everybody working. And that's one thing that like I said, we had something. I don't feel like our kids today have it. And it was free. A lot. And I mean, now being a parent, we have to pay for everything. So and like you said, the money is there. So.
Let me tell you, I'm so impressed with you, and I'm not from Ward A. I grew up uptown, but I'm so impressed.
Uptown
yeah,
girl.
I'm uptown.
You're uptown girl.
But I'm so impressed with you. I'm so impressed. I have no doubt that you will come along and fill those shoes. But me, I always wanted to, dig into politicians, and especially people like you, because you're just so young.
Yeah.
So
I'm here.
You said you used to be married. Are you single?
No, I'm not single, but I'm not married anymore. I'm divorced, but I'm not single. Yeah.
So if I say, Trayvon, what's on your playlist right now? What would you tell me? What's on your playlist? What you listen to?
What I'm listening to right now, I'm listening to Eric Benet.
Okay.
I'm listening to, I was listening to Bob Marley on the way out.
Oh, okay.
R&B guy.
Redemption songs is on my Insta snap right now.
You're a romantic.
I know. Sing it. I was singing last week, so I'm gonna let you have it.
So I listen to a lot of jazz.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of I'm an R&B type of guy.
Yeah, I see.
Like a hardcore rap type.
So
guy.
you're a romantic.
I don't want to say that. I don't know. You gotta ask my lady. I don't know.
So when you do get an opportunity to go out and go to a lounge, I don't know if you do clubs. Do you feel like in your position you gotta be extra careful? You can't, as the young folks say, you can't turn up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because I'm a public figure and I represent 75,000 people now, and so I have to be conscious of what I say, do, and think. And it's hard doing that because sometimes you want to let your head down. Yeah, it's have fun because I like to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, the person you human.
And
you gotta do it at home.
It's also it's a lot of envy and jealousy too. So coming from a street environment, it's a lot of hate and things like that. Then it's about being careful with who I got around me because I might be walking a straight path. I don't drink or smoke, but I might not be doing certain things. But it might be people affiliated with me or family members that that can get you in stuff too. And so I've tried to be very wise and thoughtful about how I move. I try to move with wisdom.
So how do you deal with the haters? You got haters, Trayon? They should just be supporting you.
Nipsey,
how do you deal with it though?
His last tweet.
I just continue to stay on my path. I always believe that if you're on your path to greatness, you're gonna cross paths with other people on their path to greatness.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the hate that comes with the church. I'm a public figure now, so it's inevitable. But I just stay on my path. Stay on my path. Because I'm about to turn 35. And came from a funeral today, and I was just thinking, like, I don't know if God gonna allow me to get another 35 years, and it's highly unlikely based on the statistic of black men in America. So it's like I don't have time to even focus on haters. I got too much work to do.
You can't focus on that because then you get stuck right there. You gotta keep on doing what you've been doing.
So let me ask you a question. Other than being the youngest DC member of the council, what do you want to be known as? Because I think you're gonna run. I think you're gonna be here for a long time, just like Barry.
We gotta take. You gotta get the voters to the polls too, man. You know.
Yeah. When is that time coming? When is that time coming?
2020.
2020.
Yeah. June 2020. I'm up for election.
So I'm not even gonna speak that over you. I was gonna say, so what would happen if you didn't get reelected? What would you want to be known? No, that's not gonna happen.
What
would you want to be known for in this term?
Legacy?
So my legacy goes beyond a lot of this work that people don't know, don't really know Trayon White, is I was doing this prior before having a title. Okay. I always say, if you want to do what God calls you, do it when no one else is looking. Okay. Without a title, without the cameras, just do the work. And you'll get elevated. You know, what's done in the dark can be brought to the light. And so I always felt like God called me to be a role model and deposit information to the next generation. So I do a lot of mentoring. I want to start. I got a program called Heroes, in which I mentor about 15 black boys in DC. I mean, in Ward 8, and a lot of them are in their 20s now, so they graduated from college, they're working. Some have passed away, some are in prison. But I'm going back and going to get the babies again. And so I grew up coaching Little League football too. And so I want to get back to doing that. But ultimately, I want to be a philanthropist. I want to be someone who use my gifts, talents, and skills and wealth to get back and help people along their journeys, because so many people have given to me. So
I love it, Trayon.
Okay. Yeah. So we winding down, and when I say this has been a pack-filled show, if you missed anything, you can go to Listen Vision and watch it on YouTube. Also, busywouldbe.com. Check my website out there, guys. If you want to be a sponsor to the show, you guys can do all that good stuff there. Check the website out at busywouldbe.com. Trayon, thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
It was a pleasure.
Y'all got me out of Southeast, man.
You
got
know,
me
I'm
telling you.
Uptown,
like
baby,
uptown,
at
man.
the Listen Vision Studios. Great family, great environment.
And I rode past Metro PCS, the go-go was cranking again.
It was.
Jules,
it was.
You said yes. You said let's roll it in there and see if the go-go crank. It was cranking.
Go ahead and hit that beat.
See, there you go.
Hey, you know what? Go ahead, Trayon.
Man, I love my city and I love go-go. I like what you all doing here
and your
just
city
giving us a
loves
positive
you.
voice, you know, to get our story out, because you got to create our own media. We want nobody to create our
Your
news for
city
us.
loves you.
So,
we all love you. Let's just say that.
I want to say a couple of things. Coming up in May, we're going to be highlighting women, all women entrepreneurs from all walks. It doesn't matter. We're going to be highlighting that. Buzy will be going to be celebrating her birthday.
Hey,
Team Tours. We're going to have a lot of fun. Towards the end of the month, we're going to have a great show to highlight child abuse awareness. We have some great things lined up right here. I thank everyone for supporting me and just coming, tuning in with me every week. Monday, Buzy will be Monday. Trayon, thank you so much. Ursula, I love you. Thank you. Always holding it down.
Peace and love.
Is it bye?
Down, yeah.
Big Doja, nigga.
It's a nice day today, and I'm counting up big stacks. Get a duck phone like knick-knack, paddywhack. Like Beyonce, I like the way she bouncing out. I was to the money, I feel